What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of RJ's Reviews. So today we've got another multimeter, preferably the Aneng AN8008. Now this is a beautiful meter. I've been wanting to review this for quite some time, actually, and I finally got my hands on one, which is good because, yeah, it's actually quite the good meter, and, yeah. I actually got one off Amazon. It was about 33 bucks, but unfortunately, that was due to coronavirus. Coronavirus actually significantly increased the price of this thing. It was actually originally 60 bucks at one point in time, but in mid-May, mid-April, it was actually around 60 bucks for this thing. But now it's kind of close to where it was originally. It normally costs about 25 bucks, but due to this virus, it's cost quite a significant amount. So yeah, I managed to get 33 bucks, and I got on Amazon and basically ordered this thing. So let's review it. Here we go. Everyone wants to see this little moment. Yeah. Nice little screen underwards. Anyway, so the battery cover is revealed by the kickstand. A lot of people call these the tilt and bail. So you literally have to assemble this. It's quite a simple thing. I'm assuming like that. Got your warning on the back. And, oh yeah, let's continue with the unboxing. Alright, so you get two sets of probes here. Let's just open this one. So, they're kind of not the best of probes. I mean, they're PVC-based plastic ones. I mean, they're okay. They aren't like the big mega chonkers of the Harbor Freight meter, honestly, seeing as the Harbor Freight meter was a bit of a bad example, they're also quite short if you haven't noticed. Anyway, get the little caps. I don't really use them that much. Little tiny sheath, and a sufficiently sharp probe. And I stick it in my breadboard. No, I cannot. And we will actually get on to something about that a bit later. My thing fell out. Anyway, charger cable fell out. Yeah. You got these boys. Right. And then we have this huge set of probes. And this is absolutely the reason why a lot of people would spring for this thing. So here's one of the things. You get these things, which basically are screw-ins, and in fact one of the things fell out that are screw-ins, and you literally screw these things in, and it becomes that, and you have like an alligator clip, or now running out both of those things, both the alligator clips. In fact, you actually get four of the things. You get four alligator clips. Let me just bring all four of them out. You get four, two spare. Don't forget about the pouch. Pouch, a bit. It's okay, actually. Can't fit everything in it, though, from what I've heard. And finally, the manual. It's not really the best manual. I mean, here's our accuracies. Not too accurate on our capacitors, I will say. Voltage. Real reason I actually got this thing was because it can generate stuff like a square wave, and that's actually quite nice. Anyway, taking a little look inside. I'm not going to do too in-depth of a look. So, we have a beard pad here, probably for calibration, a buzzer, which is probably a self-oscillating type. We got our chip and our only single piece of input protection, the PTC. Can I zoom in on it? Okay, right there. You have two little tiny HRC fuses. This would be good to know. So it's 200 milliamps at 250 volts and 10 amps at 250 volts. That's for, this one is here, I'm assuming, for the current, because that's the current one right there. That's your current shunt. Definitely quite different from a while back. If I can get my finger out of the way, nice little cap there. 4 megahertz crystal oscillator right there. It's not the worst. Yeah, let's just install the batteries in the thing. Alright, so the batteries are officially in, actually. So I reassembled this. I mean, it's okay, I guess. People actually kind of had a bit of a problem with this thing, apparently, because it was kind of a bit on the smaller side, because remember, this is a palm-sized meter, so yeah, we can see how that is there. And yeah, I am surprised that this is actually quite that tiny. Yeah, I actually had to kind of zoom in just so I could show this thing. So I'm going to plug in the default probes. I mean, they're small, and they fit in nicely. Don't want to do that right now. It's all plastic, by the way. Let's put it into COM. Probes aren't the worst. They aren't the best, but they aren't the worst. So I'm going to do my common 48 volt check, where I test out and basically I just test out the 48 volts availability, the abilities to test 48 volt. And alright, so now that we know about our voltage and we know it's perfect, I mean, look at those beautiful displays, if I can get that right. I mean, that is nice. That is a nice meter. Okay, that's right, I have hold on. And there we go. Let's just watch the 48 volt go down. And yoink! There we go. Let's roink the probes away. That was actually quite good, actually. Alright, running a little quick test on our AC voltage. Auto power off, or auto backlight off. Just switched, and we're on the 120 volt, and that's reading 121.9, so pretty accurate. If we set it to frequency, 60 hertz, that is right on the target, and 53.9% on our variation, on our PWM thing, because it does have an integrated PWM thing on it. So yeah, that's pretty good. So let's just do our series of resistance tests. For that, I am going to plug in all of my normal stuff, all the normalcies. As you can see, auto mode is kicked in. So it's currently got it to its highest range because nothing's in on it. And it's reading overload. Unfortunately, with it being such a light object, it's actually quite hard to deal with. Normal probe time. Let's see. Okay, we aren't beeping yet because we aren't on a continuity test. That's right. Time for the select hold. Get that latching boy on there. Not the best of response times, but I'll take it. Let's do our... Let's see, we've also got the diode test. Okay, I am going to put this on a breadboard and test it that way. Alright, so I found a smaller version of the cap, I mean a 22 nanofarad. Okay, let's test out a manual range. Okay, so 51, I think that was a 47. They didn't say that the cap test would be equally as good. So, yeah, I think that was quite good. There we go. Actually, that was quite close to where I had it. I mean, this is a 47 if I'm not mistaken. It's climbing, actually, which is surprising. It's reading about 50, so about So it's about right. They said it would be about like 5% off, and this is well within spec. Not the best of spec, but it's there, I guess. If you need a capacitance test, I guess it exists. Let's just test hertz. Alright, time to test out the frequency. And okay, it's not doing too good at start. 611, 551, 516. Now it's starting to get now the amplitude's starting to go up, so now it's kinda gonna meet it in the middle, I'm assuming. Bit of a faulty accuracy issue, I think. And if we check our PWM test, in PWM it's actually an exact 50%. Okay, so now we're getting into kilohertz. Okay, now is when it gets a bit more accurate. So apparently the main issue with it is that at the lower frequencies it has a bit of a trouble with, it has a bit of trouble actually measuring it. Right now it's at 2.1 kilohertz and it's actually doing pretty good. Exactly right where it's supposed to be. It's a bit underwhelming on the lower frequencies, but once you get into the kilohertz and into the megahertz probably, I haven't really tested it with megahertz yet, but once you get there, it's pretty good. So yeah. It's pretty good actually. Now that we're at like about 10 kilohertz, yeah, it's actually going into auto ranging. If you notice, it's 9,000 counts, so unlike most modern multimeters, so let me get the glare out, it didn't stop. Alright, so time to test a bit of our current, because, that's a thing. So I have this, this here AAA, and, oh yeah, that's right. Bloody hell, I forgot. Because I'm testing current, it's over on this one. The only issue is that on the milliamps, it does it on that jack. I'm not a huge fan of that design, but yeah. Yep, 2.5 amps, usually what you get from these batteries. Test. Okay, so we've got our frequency test going, and let's just change our frequency. We're at 50 hertz now. 100 hertz. That is 100 right there. 200 right there. 300. 400. 500. 600. 700. 800. Got some nice overtones. 900. 1 kilohertz. 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's there. I mean, it's acceptable. That is actually perfectly good. Alright. Alright, so I did a bit of digging, and one thing I did find out was that this Harbor Freight meter is actually had, its model number, its true model number, actually put on, actually kind of silk-screened on it. It is not actually... Harbor Freight likes to make it go by the 61593, which is its model number in the Harbor Freight terms, but on the board itself, it's actually got the DT9208 on its silkscreen to it, and surprisingly enough, it's actually a common rebranding of another meter, also actually kind of sold by Aneng, the people who made this meter, but they started selling this, well, way back in the 90s. But this is a rebrand that Harbor Freight's been doing for quite some time. So I actually found the meter that this is based off of, which is the DT9205, which is actually quite common on Chinese shopping websites. So these are actually quite alike. They're actually technically by same brand, technically, because yeah. And a lot of the Aneng stuff is actually a rebranding of a company from a company known as Zotac, which is a Chinese company that literally manufactures meters like these, and they're mostly notable in China as the company to bring in the first digital multimeter. In fact, they still kind of sell it to this day, but it's been modded heavily. I've actually seen it quite so many times, and if you've ever bought multimeters, or ever done a bit of a good look and shopped for these things, you might have actually seen one of them on your travels, actually. Yeah, but they're all quite different in every sense of the word. I mean, this one, it's auto ranging. It's got a very high res display, high res in terms of, well, it's whole 4 digits, and it's actually got it actually has a higher count rating. It's also auto ranging. As you can see, yeah, we're at like 6.5 volts. Normally, a lot of other meters would usually go up to, when they hit like would always go up to the next range, and always go up one range. But this one goes up to the range until it hits 10 millivolts. Of course, right now it's just getting noise from the air. It's just getting noise. This millivolts range actually peaks out at about 100 millivolts. There we go. Yeah. Another really weird thing that I noticed about the Harbor Freight meter is that, seeing as this meter is a rebrand of another meter, I noticed that the actual meter that it's based off of, although it does have a capacitance test, it's not a socket-based capacitance test, and it's more of it's a test where it's literally uses the probes, and not kind of like this one where the capacitance, where you just do it like that. I wonder what caused them to make this weird design choice. I don't know. Because this only could allow for like 1 or 2 types of capacitors. The only caps I've been able to fit in this thing in these sockets are the electrolytic capacitors, and yeah, and I have in all of my ceramic ones, they just won't fit and won't get a good reading. But this one I can actually do that kind of stuff with, and because, well, it doesn't use sockets. But I don't know. It's a bit weird. But anyway, that's gonna be it. That's gonna do it for today's video, and if you like what you saw, please leave a like and subscribe. I'm gonna try and get more content out very soon. Definitely not about multimeters. I know that's the subject that kind of doesn't do me well on my YouTube stuff. I mean, electrical engineering on things like this are a bit of a niche subject. There are actually some revisions that if you aren't in the mood for having a frequency output, you can have it do non-contact voltage, or I think there's even a manual ranging version of this, kind of similar to the Harbor Freight meter, if you really like that, even though you might not. But for $25, pre-coronavirus, of course, this is actually quite the perfect design. Anyway, so that's it for today's video. Anyway, I'll see you later, and bye.